In this video, I want to talk about a dark folk tale featuring Krabat, which is a character in Serbian folklore, also dubbed the Wendish Faust. Serbs, also known as Lusatians, Lusatian Serbs or Vens, are an indigenous West Slavic ethnic group, predominantly inhabiting the parts of Lusatia located in Germany. The character of Krabat developed from an evil sorcerer into a folk hero and beneficial trickster in the course of the 19th century. The folktale is centered around the area of Lusatia, most notably the settlement of Čorní Holmc, or Schwarzholm in German, which today is a district of the city of Vojareci, or Hoyswerda in German, where Krabat is said to have learned his magic powers. What I found interesting is how well the names of these places translate into my language, because it's Slavic as well. Čorní Holmc and Vojareci are translated as Černý Chlumec and Vojařice, which sounds like totally normal names for Czech villages or towns. But back to Krabat. The folktale was popularized by the novel Krabat from 1971, written by German author Otfried Preußler, who was initially born in my country in the town of Liberec. The story is set in the 17th century and revolves around a Wendish beggar boy named Krabat, who becomes an apprentice to a sinister sorcerer at a mysterious mill in the village of Čorní Holmc. The mill is not an ordinary one, it serves as a front for a school of black magic. Krabat discovers that his master, the miller, teaches dark arts to his apprentices, and they are bound by a pact that gives them magical powers, but comes with a dark cost. The first magic powers Krabat acquires are rather harmless, such as the ability to turn himself into a raven. Other peculiarities of this watermill include the lack of any outside visitors, including farmers who would have brought grain. The mill is only ever visited by one other character regularly. Everybody calls him only Goodman or Godfather, and it's implied that he's the devil, although this is never made explicit, but the miller is afraid of him, which says something because the miller is usually the scary one, and throughout the story he's very cruel to his apprentices and they are afraid of him. The story is pretty creepy at times, but also beautiful, because it's ultimately about how friendship and love can defeat evil, and there are many touching scenes. It explores themes of power, freedom, and the consequences of one's choices. It draws heavily from Slavic folklore. The character of Krabat and the mill have been featured in various adaptations, including plays, films, and musicals. The ones I've seen are the Czech animated version from 1977 and the German live-action movie from 2008. They are unfortunately both pretty bad adaptations which don't do justice to the original story. The Czech animated version shortens the story and cuts out so much good stuff. I understand why they had to do it for a pretty short animated movie, but I'm still not a fan of changing and shortening the original story. But at least the movie has a great atmosphere and it's pretty creepy at times. I unfortunately can't say the same about the German live-action version, which is mainly just boring and below average in my opinion. It does the same in terms of changing and shortening the original story, but it also invents completely new scenes which are so dull. And if someone starts inventing new stuff after they've cut out so much, they are just not adapting the original anymore, but creating their own version, which is usually worse. That's what Netflix is doing with The Witcher, or what Fox did to Aragon with their shitty movie, and I always hated it. If you would be interested in finding out more about this beautiful folktale, do yourself a favor and just read the original. We are fortunate enough in my country that we have an audiobook version which is narrated very well. It has sound effects and also subtle soundtrack, which can be creepy but also beautiful at times, and this is the version that made me fall in love with the story of Krabat. I actually gave it as a wedding gift to my cousin and his wife, and I even made this custom wedding card with Krabat as a raven holding a ribbon in his beak on the front, and the mill and Čorní Holmc on the inside with a quote about love from the book. And just to explain, the wedding had a grey and pink colors as a theme. That's why the wedding card is grey and it's tied with a pink ribbon. But anyway, I always loved creepy fairy tales and folk tales, and I love that this is a story from an ordinary countryside setting, where you can feel the folklore influence, for example with the customs and traditions, which are showcased throughout the story. At the beginning, Krabat goes around the countryside with 2 other beggar boys, and they get food caroling as the 3 kings, which is a tradition we celebrate today in Central Europe, and I've made a video about it last year if you would want to know more about it. That's why I wanted to make a video about Krabat today, because it features this folk custom. The girls in Chorny Holms also go around the village with candles, singing at night on Good Friday during Holy Week. Thanks to these aspects of the story, we can also see how the seasons of the year influence the life of villagers and commoners from the countryside. It's obviously a big part of agriculture and therefore folklore as well. So that's probably everything I wanted to say about the story of Krabat. I didn't want to go into detail and tell the whole story, because it's first of all pretty long and complicated, and I also didn't want to spoil it for anyone who doesn't know it yet and would be interested in reading it, because that's the best way of experiencing it for the first time in my opinion. So thanks for watching and see you next time.